Look at the first temptation. The fruit. The fruit. It's going to bring them death, but he tells them it's going to bring them knowledge, and they're going to be like God. So in their mind, that's pleasure, so they partake of that which is going to kill them. Pleasure is built also by God, before it gets twisted by the enemy, is built to keep you alive. It's there, part of it. For instance, you eat food, you have pleasure. Why? Because if you don't, you're gone. Sexuality has pleasure to keep life alive. Some things, though, that aren't that simple, they require another element. For example, food gives me pleasure, but if I don't have money, I can't get food. So my mind will adjust, and it'll actually give pleasure, or our minds will adjust that we actually will get pleasure out of this green paper. Okay? Because money, having this, I can do other things. So my mind actually attaches it, so therefore I do. For instance, when when money becomes the end in itself, then it's all messed up. Now we can go farther. For instance, say there's a job or a career that's gonna help us. Well, we hear about that career, or something happens, a door opens. We get pleasure because it's ultimately linked to life. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you get up early in the morning, especially if your work is not that amazing? Because of the principle. Because in your mind you say, if I don't get up, I don't work, I'm going to have pain. I'm going to have not money, I'm going to have pain there. So therefore, I get up and I do this. Okay. Or look at people in gyms. They're lifting weights. Sweating. It doesn't look fun at all. Running, sweating. It doesn't look like anything you want to do. Why do they do it? And some of you might be those people. Get out. No, okay. Because in their minds, they've associated it, they associate the exercise with other things that bring pleasure. Health. If I get health, I want to do it. Or it's going to make me look better. So that's the joy in it. I'm going to attract, a wife or husband. That's the joy. For some reason, so they're associating pleasure with this thing that's hard to do. That's why they do it. Otherwise, if there was no thing at the end of it, why do that? Then there's the other side of the coin. Pain has the power to make you avoid things. You put your hand on something too hot, pain. But there are other things that can cause pain that are not like that. So your mind, for instance, if you don't pay your taxes, you can go to jail. So your mind says, there's pain in the thought of not getting this done. Something you would otherwise, never do in your right mind. Give money to the government? That's crazy. So therefore, your brain is saying, okay, there's pain because I'm going to be in trouble. Okay. Same with not going to work. So it's all this thing there is motivating us all the time. And the thing is, the enemy uses it, but we can turn it around. And so this is what I call the law of the carrot. You see, when you want to make a donkey do something that you want to do, you put a carrot in front of it. Now, maybe a different animal, I don't know, but that's a carrot, so it'll keep walking to that carrot. So you got the donkey, you took something it took pleasure in, and you used it to get it to do what you wanted to do, right? The donkey doesn't want to move for no reason, but associating with a carrot, they'll do it. And then you have the stick, donkey and the stick. Stick, the pain. Well, a stick is, the donkey will feel pain if it gets hit. So therefore, it's natural. Now you're associating something that you don't want the donkey to do. So therefore, you use pain. So therefore, that's how animal trainers do those acts. Because, the animal does what they want. They give it, here's the snack, here's a fish, here's this thing. And they get rewarded so then that they end up doing exactly what the trainer wants to do. There are in China right now, they have something called the social credit system. If you do something in China that the Communist Party doesn't want you to do, you're in trouble. Well, if you do something they do want you to do, like you praise them online, you go to a party event, you bring your children to a party event, it rewards you. You can travel on the trains. You can get a better job. You can get a better education. It's all tracking you now. That's what they're doing. But if you post something that's against the government, you lose credit, you can't get on the train, you can't get the job, and your children may be kicked out of school. So you begin associating what the government wants of you with pleasure. And you begin associating what the government doesn't want with pain. You understand? So what they're doing is, by this, they're controlling everybody. You're rewired. So they don't have to oppress people anymore. The people will oppress themselves. They'll do it for the government. It's a new level of totalitarianism. It's happening in the West too. Not just the government, but through the media, through the culture. You do this, you get canceled. And so you cancel yourself. I'm not going to do it because it's control. And so the woke agenda is controlling you by this principle. The enemy uses it. He wants you to associate the things of God with no joy, no pleasure, even pain. And through such things, that's how he wants to control you. So the enemy will always seek to do that. And, for instance, in marriage, he'll seek to throw in the stick, throw in some pain. You had an argument to get you misunderstanding, hurtful word, to take away your joy from something that's of God, marriage. The enemy will use the carrot. You know, this came up last Sunday when I spoke. It was Purim. I spoke about Haman as a shadow of the enemy and how it reveals what the enemy tries to do. Haman said to the king, if it pleased the king, in other words, he wanted the king to do what he wanted, but he said to the king, if it pleased the king, and he also gave him money. He rewarded him to get the king to do what he wanted. That's what the enemy does. He uses the pleasure principle. Why do people sin? Sin is destructive. Why do they do it? Why do you do it? Why do we do it? The enemy associated it with pleasure. Look at the first temptation. The fruit. The fruit. It's going to bring them death, but he tells them it's going to bring them knowledge, and they're going to be like God. So in their mind, that's pleasure, so they partake of that which is going to kill them. Look at the gods of the nations back then in the Bible. Moloch, Baal. They actually have the Israelites offer up their own children on the sacrificial altar. How warped is that? They told them, the gods were, that if you do this, you're going to be prosperous. They put pleasure on it. The enemy twists people's circuits. People actually do things that are going to destroy them. It says, love does not delight, takes no pleasure in evil. There are people, though, who do take pleasure in evil because they've been twisted. The wires got crossed. They delight in things that also bring them harm. Not just drugs and sexual immorality, but some people are drawn into abusive relationships. And they keep doing it because they're wired. They got it messed up. The enemy did it. Self-harm, self-destruction. The enemy uses it. It speaks in Proverbs how the adulteress, and it could be adulterer, either way, tempts the man. In Proverbs 7 it says, with her many persuasions she entices him. With her flattering lips she seduces him, and he goes like an ox to the slaughter. Proverbs 9 says similarly, the one who tempts says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he doesn't know that the dead are there. Her guests are in the depths of Sheol, or hell. Flattering lips, it says. She tells him what he wants to hear, what gives him pleasure. She entices him, seduces him, but it's like an ox going to the slaughter. Her house is the way of death. The other one says, stolen water is sweet, sweet. It's pleasant, pleasure. But he says at the end, there's death at the end of that road. And so that is, the enemy joins together all these things. Hell with pleasantness, sweetness, by using the carrot principle. He brings people to destruction. And so since adultery is not of God, he'll try to associate it with pleasure. And sometimes he'll have it the same way. He'll give a believer, they'll have a hard time in the marriage. At the same time, someone else will come along who is the pleasure one, who is the adulteress, the situation. And the time someone's having problems with their marriage, then he introduces flirtation. He can destroy a marriage, a life. So he holds the carrot. He holds the alcohol as if it's good and sweet, but your end is destruction. Holds the carrot of pornography. Sexual immorality as if it's sweet and good, but its end is destruction.